Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh by Shem Shai by Shem Rakakodah. Shalom to the 144,000, the rest of you elect out there. Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, Understanding Isaiah 28 and 11. And if there's a pause, I have the exterminator coming. He could be coming from now until 11, so let's see what happens. So if I pause, I'll let you know. I'll prompt you, and then it'll be a pause until he leaves. He comes in for about 10 seconds. So anyway, this happens every month. Exterminators. Anyway, so let's read. I'm going to read Isaiah 28 verse 11, and then I'm going to jump up. Really, when you start from the first verse, I'm not going to read from the first verse, but it's when you read the opening verse, it speaks about the tribe of Ephraim being drunken with wine, and that wine represents philosophies, like the official religion of Puerto Rico would be Roman Catholicism, probably followed by Pentecostal. Oh, let me do this, change gears a little bit. Now, in the Apocrypha, I'm going to come back because I wanted to do this last night, but I was sleepy. This is 2nd Ezra 13. This is what I wanted. 2nd Ezra 13. I want to open it up. So, okay, this is the vision that Ezra saw concerning our Lord coming back, the Messiah. Daniel saw this vision a little bit differently. Ezra saw it. High priest Ezra saw it as a mountain. Daniel saw the Most High sitting on the throne with fire coming from the bottom of the throne in a circular fashion. He was on the throne. Hey, and for you Christians out there, when you show the Christians that the Most High, the Heavenly Father, and the Son are so-called black people, they have woolly hair, they just jump up and say, oh, that woolly hair represents purity, and white represents purity. And you can say, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. But what did he see? What did John see on the Isle of Patmos? And what did Daniel see in Daniel chapter 7? Did he see a horse? Did he see a car? Did he see a chariot? Did he see the sun? Did he see a cloud? No, he saw a man with a white garment on, sitting on a throne with an afro. Yeah, but it represents, I don't give a damn what it represents. He saw a black man on the throne. What did John see? He saw a so-called black man with an afro. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. What did he see? So if the Lord came down in the form of a man, what form is he coming in? As a so-called black man. If they can't get it, like I said, leave these demonic Christians. They're not even Christians. We're the real Christians, all right? They were called Christians first in Antioch in the book of Acts. So you tell them that they're not Christians, first of all. And you leave them alone. You don't deal with them. See, they come around us because they need us. We don't need them. We don't need the Christians. If Vocab Malone was to just go and teach sermons and not mention Israel, he wouldn't get no hits. Nobody would follow him. They like the drama when he puts Israel. Hebrew Israelites did this. Hebrew Israelites did that. Like I said, if he does, go to his page. Go to videos where he's doing a sermon and he doesn't mention Israel. He gets very few hits. If he goes into something with Hebrew Israelites, former One Westers, especially when it's some big drama, as Triple G would say, big drama show, you know, like Joy Morgan, which everybody said, well, it's IUIC. No, IUIC didn't do that. If you check my videos, I never said, see, this is what IUIC. No, it was a man that was a part of IUIC that was a bug out. They couldn't read his mind, and they corrected him a number of times. So it was on him. It wasn't on them. That's why they didn't lock up Bishop Nate and nothing like that. So, you know, they ain't teaching people go out and kill. No, they ain't teaching that. So if you find a video of me saying, yeah, IUIC did it, I apologize, which you're not going to find a video of me because I said what I said. I said, well, you can't blame it on IUIC, but you can say that the IUIC tried to cover it up and hope it went away. But all you could say was, this guy, we didn't know that this guy was going to do what he did. Had we known, we would have kicked him out, made sure she stayed away from this guy. But you got thousands of people in this thing, and anything could happen. And we're trying to get contact with the family, and we will help with anything that they can. You know what I'm saying? And say they apologize. So it was a messy thing. All you had to do is say, this guy did it. This bug out did it. Anyway, which Captain Zari said, he's a Hamite anyway. No, I believe he's Nigerian, which are Israelites for the most part. Anyway, so anyway, this is what I wanted. This is when Yahushua comes out of the sky. He's on top of a mountain as Ezra saw it. Same vision that Daniel had, but different. Okay. Anyway, this is what I want to go down to. I wanted to go down to here. Then I'm going to get into Isaiah 28 and 11. Okay, this is starting at the 40th verse. Matter of fact, I got to read up above that. Okay, 35. But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be. I'm trying to listen to the outside to see if the exterminator comes so I can open the door for him. To all men being prepared and built, like as thou sawest the hill, graven without, or mountain without hands. It was a gigantic ship. And this my son, that's Yahushai, shall rebuke. And even Ezra's even used the word Yahushai. And Ezra said this in the Apocrypha. So this is 400 years before Yahushua, approximately, and he even mentions that. I did a lesson on that the other day. The wicked innovations, see, this is funny English. Inventions of those nations. The U is like a V, which there was no V in the Hebrew, which for their wicked life are falling into the tempest, the destruction, and shall lie before them. See, evil. There's no V in the Hebrew, even though this is based upon the Hebrew going into the Greek, going into the Latin thought, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented. So the torment is not talking about a spiritual hell. It's talking about when Babylon is destroyed, they're going to be tormented. So this goes hand in hand with Revelation 18, which are like unto a flame, that's the missiles and the lasers from the ships. The chariots of the Most High's destroying weapon would be called the dews, the direct energy weapon system. The direct energy weapon system, which Esau has this technology. The Most High gave them that technology. And Esau can shoot, cause that dew to come from a satellite, can come from a drone, can come from a fighter jet, can come from a ship, and can even come from a satellite. So the Most High gave him that power. And he shall destroy them without labor. In other words, he's not going to work. He's just going to make the command, okay, shoot this down, shoot that down, destroy this, destroy that, by the law which is like unto fire. By the law or the command. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto himself, those are the Israelites. Those are the 10 tribes. That's the northern kingdom. That's why James the apostle said greetings to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, because he knew that the Israelites were alive someplace else, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land. That was Assyria, the Assyrians, and in the time of Hosea, which is Hawashai, which was the king of Israel, whom Shalmaneser, which is a title, Shalmaneser the fifth. The campaign to take down Israel started with his father, Shalmaneser the fourth, which Shalmaneser is a title. It's not a name. The king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. And they took this, that other land is Assyria. They said, we're bringing you over to Assyria to be slaves. And they shackled you up. They put yokes upon you, yokes of wood and yokes of iron. That's why you got these Christians, when you go to Deuteronomy 28, start from the 43rd verse and read down to the 47th verse, it mentions yoke of iron. They said, well, that's the Assyrians. Okay, you can say that's the Assyrians. I go with that. But it's also the transatlantic slave trade and the trans-Pacific slave trade. But we mostly focus on the transatlantic slave trade, because from West Africa to America, what body of water are you going through? The Atlantic. Which you come to the east of America. Remember, America started, 13 colonies started on the east coast. So you got New York, you got Pennsylvania, you got Virginia. It says then it moved towards the west, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, the other nations, because we're not dealing with the Most High, not dealing with the other nations. And go, remember, what is that? Ezra chapter 4 in the regular scriptures, where they went to build a temple, and the heathens wanted to build a temple with them, because we follow your God. And he said, no, this is you can't build with us. So now we're building a spiritual house, and you got these Christians saying, no, we are part of that too. We can be saved too. And go forth into a further country, that's America, where never mankind dwelt. They had the Canaanites go to America, take the resources of America, the various trees, because this was a tropical land. This was a paradise. The whole earth was a paradise. The garden is not the paradise. The garden is a garden eastward in paradise, or Idan, which means joy or paradise. So they got gold, they got silver, where do you think King David got all that gold from? A lot of it came from the Americas. And they had to have gone through North, Central, and South America and get these resources. And nobody knew about it. The Romans, 2,000 plus years ago, they didn't know about the Americas. They didn't know what the Northern Kingdom was. They didn't know what they were. That they might dare keep their statues, which is America, that's why you see remnants of them keeping the statues, like certain tribes of Gad. They had fringes on. Their garments were garments. Reuben had the turbans. But a lot of them have fringes. Why? Because that goes back to the law, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. If you can picture a map, which I can picture in my mind, I looked at the map so much, especially the Levant, that I can picture where the Euphrates is. And they had gone, they didn't go north up the Euphrates, they went south down into the Euphrates, and then it opened up into, I should bring the picture up, but I'm not. It says, for the, you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Okay, we're in the 44th verse, right? In the 44th verse. How can I do this? Oh yeah, I was watching this, and this guy, Dave Portnoy, he's a pizza guy, One Bite Reviews or whatever. He's a so-called Jew. He goes to different pizzerias around the country and outside the country, and he rates pizza. Now, he's on Shannon Sharp's show, and this is on this video. And he's telling Shannon Sharp that he had a wife and they got divorced, but she still has access to his bank account. And this guy's got millions of dollars in the bank. He said, "Oh, she can come and get whatever type of money. Yeah, she got another man. But anytime she needs money, she can come and get the money. She can take all of it." I said, "Well, he's a small hat, so he's an idiot." Anyway, let me so if you want to watch this, small hats are not on no power. She probably with a Jake. So he paying for that dude. And when you got a woman that makes more money than you and she's into you, she gonna take care of you. I know that for a fact. I had a job. I was dealing with a chick that made more than about triple of what I made. She had a particular job, and she used to just buy me stuff. She used to just, "Oh, I'm paying for this, baby. I'm paying for that, baby." You know? Anyway, let me see. Biblical map. Biblical map. Let me try it again. Map of the Bible. Okay. Okay, let me open this up. This is almost like a back to the basics show. So this is this is Palestine. This is the wilderness of Tazan, I think, Zion or Zin, which is Zion. This is Egypt right here. There's the Red Sea. There's the Nile. There's the Gulf of Suez. There's the Gulf of Akbar. We was up here. We didn't go through the actual Red Sea. We went through here. We were here for 40 years. Then we went north. Moab, Edom, Moab, Ammon, Palestine. The Assyrians are over here, and they took us. Well, they're saying this is Japhet. And they took us over here, and we got in the ships, and this is the Euphrates. We went down south into the Persian Gulf. From the Persian Gulf, you go all the way down the Horn of Africa, and then you wind up in America. If I was to open up a large map, a world map. So let me come back over here. We're going to get in Isaiah 28 and 11. Okay, 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood or the storm, the tempest, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. So that was on the other side of, you had the Middle East, the East, the Levant to America. Back then, it took you a year and a half to get there. There was a cycle. Year and a half going when Solomon had the Navy go over to Americas. They would go over to Americas, gathered all kind of resources from America, and sailed back. And it was led by Canaanites. What's his Hiram. Masons are based upon the man Hiram Abith, which goes back. Like you can say he's a friend to Solomon. He did the bit. He was the one. This is a heathen, a Canaanite. He was the one that built the temple of the Most High, the temple, and he built Solomon's house. It took 7 years to build a temple, and it took 14 years to build a house. So Solomon had the baddest house in the history of mankind. And the same region is called Asureth, which in the Hebrew means another land. So right here, another land is talking about Assyria. And right here, this is talking about America, another land. That's a fulfillment of Deuteronomy chapter 29. I'm not going to go into that. Somebody put it up. If you go to the Hebrew word, if you go to the Hebrew and in blue letter, you go to Deuteronomy 29. I believe it's 29 to 29 if I'm not mistaken, or 28 verse. I'm not going to go to it. I believe it says another land. And if you go to the Hebrew, you'll see the word. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and go to it, because I can always come back to this. What verse are we dealing with? Okay, you know what? Let me do this. Back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics. So we're doing a lot of reviewing and analyzing this. We already know the scriptures. Okay, Deuteronomy 29. Let me go to 29 and 29. I believe it's in 28. Okay, no, it's in 28. And Yahweh rooted them out of their land. When did that happen? We were just reading that in the Apocrypha. In anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day. That started with who? The northern kingdom, not all of Israel. Then the kingdom of Judah came after in slave ships. Another land. So now let's click on the word another land. So the word Asarath, even the small had to tell you that they came to the Americas. Another land. Achar Azataza. I'm sorry. Achar Arataza. Land. Achar Arataza. Now this is another land. Achar Arataza. Another land. So let's come back over here. Let's back to the basics. Another land is, I just had it. own land. River. Where the hell is it? Another land. That's Assyria. That's Assyria. Right here. Let me come back right over here. Where am I? What is it? Akar. Arataza. Let me come back to it again. Let me get it right. Akar Arataza. Akar Arataza. So when you translate it in English, it's Arsarath, which is supposed to be Akar Arataza, another land. That other land is the Americas. When these Edomites started coming from Europe, these religious Edomites, they all said, oh, these are the Israelites. These are the 10 tribes. Then dwelt they there until the latter times. We're in the latter times right now. But the main place is America. Now, I'm going to show you something. And now when they shall come, begin to come. Because later on, the kingdom of Judah had to come by slavery. So the Most High had to bring all the tribes together. You had the tribes, you had Gad and Reuben in America and in Canada. And you had the rest of the tribes in Central and South America. So when did these tribes started coming up here? The Jamaicans, the Haitians, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans. So this has occurred. This prophecy has occurred that all the tribes come into America, and the majority of the elect is here in America, not scattered throughout the world. So when Bishop Nate said, "Oh, we got to go out and we got to make this global, and we got to go to other places and meet them," no, he doesn't know. He doesn't understand the scriptures. I don't know if he ever read Acts chapter 1. The focus here is in America because the bulk of the 144,000, the elect, is here in America. Because these other nations, they're not going to pan out like they do in America. There's a reason for that, because the bulk of the elect is here in America. Okay, so let me do this. Where am I? Okay, so this is what I did, right? I'll go kind of backwards. I'll put in when did the Puerto Rican, when did the Puerto Dominicans, because that's what their real name is, not Dominicans, they're Puerto Dominicans, come to America. The term Puerto Dominicans is likely a misspelling of Dominican immigrants, or Puerto means port, Dominican Americans, Dominican, which a lot of them are Judites, northern, southern kingdom. Because the first bulk of the slaves that came from the Africas, they didn't go to the United States. They took them to Hispaniola and them other islands. So you see Dominicans that look just like Jake have been coming to the United States in significant numbers since the mid-20th century with 3 major waves of immigration. The first significant wave started in the 60s. I remember that. I remember when I first saw Dominicans and I said, "You're Puerto Ricans." They had to tell me, "No, we're Dominican. We're different." To me, they were Puerto Ricans, because Puerto Ricans were here since the 50s, the late 40s into the 50s. So the so-called Puerto Ricans got here first. I'm pretty sure Apostle Rhymelab is going to do a video on this. So I asked the question. I was thinking about 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. So I said, well, let me look at when they started coming over here. They started coming over here in the 50s, late 40s, 50s, into the 60s, following the fall of the Trujillo regime when he was 40 people, and a second large wave began in the 80s. The term Puerto Dominicans may also refer to Dominicans who have migrated to Puerto Rico. So they were called like Puerto Dominicans, Puerto Rican Dominicans, which they were Dominicans, all right? A lot of them is Judite. A U.S. territory which has a long history of migration between the two islands. So some of them went to Puerto Rico, some of them stayed in Puerto Rico, mixed their seed among the Puerto Ricans, and some of them went right to the U.S. Okay? Anyway, let me go back. I think I did three tribes. The Puerto Ricans. When did Puerto Ricans come to America? The Puerto Ricans coming to America, the Dominicans coming to America, the Puerto Dominicans coming to America, the Haitians coming to America. A lot of Haitians in America, a lot of Haitians in Canada. It's a Puerto Rican migration to the United States occurred in, and Puerto Rico is considered a Commonwealth of America. You can get welfare, food stamps, Section 8, all that good stuff you can get here in America, you can get that in Puerto Rico. Trump is not detaining Puerto Ricans because the land that they in is part of America, like Guam, Hawaii, Alaska, starting before the continuing after the island became a U.S. territory, 1898. A major influx began after Puerto Ricans were granted U.S. citizenships. Where were they granted U.S. citizenships? In Puerto Rico. In what? 1917. You got a lot of so-called Puerto Ricans that went to Hawaii. There's a history on that. Apostle Ramla could go into it more because I believe he did videos on it. So there you go. If you ain't got a title, I'm giving you a title right now. I'm giving you an idea. Because I believe he said that. He said, no, a lot of these Hawaiians are actually Puerto Ricans. It says a significant great migration occurred after World War II. World War II ended in what? 1945. Particularly in the 1950s, as people sought better economic opportunities. So they were coming. So World War II ended. Somebody correct me. I believe the exact year was 1945. Puerto Ricans were already condemned as U.S. citizens, so they got free access to come over here. There was no barriers to them. You got Puerto Ricans that go to Puerto Rico for vacation to come back because it's part of the U.S. It's a Commonwealth of the U.S., particularly in the 50s. So the Puerto Ricans really started coming over here in bulk in the 50s, and the Dominicans came in and started coming in the 60s. Then a bigger wave of them came in the 80s. Okay? So this is the fulfillment of so then they shall come. They shall give their children to the murderer. That's Ephraim. The murderer is the murderer of murderers are the who? The Esau, the Edomites. So let's go back again. So we know that this prophecy has been fulfilled. Every tribe, every one of the tribes is here in America. Why? Because the 144,000 is going to be here for the most part. For the most part, is going to be here in America. You got brothers in other countries that are part of the 144,000, but the bulk of the 144,000 elect is right here in America. So let's go back again. Jamaica, got to get Jamaica. When did Jamaicans come to America? That would be the tribe of Benjamin, right? Jamaican people have been immigrating to the United States since the early 20th century, with a significant increase after the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. So the Puerto Ricans came in the 50s, the Dominicans came in the 60s, the bulk of the Jamaicans came in the 60s, because I remember Jamaicans and Haitians before. Well, 65 is about right. While there was a smaller wave of immigrants in the late 19th and 20th century, the most substantial movement occurred after 1965, when immigration restrictions were relaxed. So there goes the tribes, some of the major tribes. Okay, no more. So you can do this with the rest of the tribes. You can do this with the Venezuelans. You can do this with the Brazilians. Let me do this. Brazil, Lians. Let's see what happens. Brazilians have been immigrating to the United States since since at least the 60s. Wait a minute. We got the Dominicans started coming over here in the 1960s and above. Then there was a big wave in the 80s, right? The Cubans been coming in here after when Fidel came into power in 59, 60. So the 60s, a lot of Cubans started coming over here, right? Afro-Cubans, Indian Cubans. 1960s, with the first major wave of immigrations occurring between 1985 and 1987. But they were there. I had friends that were Cubans long before the Mario boat people. There was Cubans. It started in 59, 60 when Batista was taken down by Fidel. So prior to that, there were smaller numbers of Brazilian immigrants arriving each year. The economic crisis in Brazil during the mid-80s marked by hyperinflation. We're suffering inflation. You're going to really be in trouble when you suffer hyperinflation. Hyperinflation and a shift from military to democratic government significantly boosted the numbers of Brazilian immigrants to the U.S. Wait a minute. It said the economic crisis in Brazil during the mid-1980s marked by hyperinflation and a shift from military to democratic government. Democratic governments, they always end badly. They always end badly. Now you have these different major countries. They're laughing. They're not laughing behind Trump's back. They're laughing in his face. He's a mockery. What the hell did I do that for? Let me bring this back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the word hyperinflation. Okay, meaning. They're not going to give you a clear meaning. Extremely rapid inflation. Okay, that's the first time. A couple years ago, they didn't give you the meaning. In economics, hyperinflation is used to describe situations where the prices of all goods and services rise uncontrollably. That's hyperinflation. We're suffering inflation, but not hyperinflation. You know when we in hyperinflation? If you go get gas, it's $3 a gallon in the morning. Then in the afternoons, it's $7. Then at evening, it's $15. Then the next day, it's $25. Then later that day, it's $50. That's hyperinflation, and that's when people start bugging out. That means they're producing dollars from thin air. Rise uncontrollably over a defined time period, and that's when everything collapses. When you're suffering hyperinflation, that's when you know a collapse is coming. That happened to Russia in the 90s. The Russians are doing very well now, but they had to go through that point of hyperinflation and the government falling. That's why you had the USSR. Now you have Russia. In other words, hyperinflation is extremely rapid inflation. Generally, inflation is termed hyperinflation when the rate of inflation grows at more than 50% a month. No, that's slow hyperinflation. Real hyperinflation is when, in Germany, during the Weimar Republic, if you went out to a restaurant to eat, they didn't have a price as to what a steak dinner cost. They have no prices, because if they had a price, they'd say it's $20 to buy a steak dinner. By the time you finish eating, maybe half an hour later, inflation, it should be $200 or $250. That's why they didn't have no, there was a point, look it up. Don't take my word for it, look it up. That's why they had a point where when you came to the restaurant, you didn't know what you were paying for the meal. Because you, in the middle of the meal, you thinking it's $20. As you eating the meal, the price is going up. Then when you leave, it's $250. So we're experiencing inflation. Are we going to experience hyperinflation? Well, that's in Revelation chapter 6. A penny is a day's wages. I'm not going to go all into it. So now let's come over here. I don't want to make this too long. So you brothers that fall off is because you're not into the scriptures. You don't filter everything that you see around you, the news, into the scriptures. So when you leave, well, I ain't seen nothing. There wasn't nothing happening. There wasn't nothing happening to you because your eyes are closed. You read the scriptures and memorized the scriptures, but didn't apply them. So when the MOTB comes on the scene, that's going to that's going to mess up a lot of brothers. That's going to mess up a lot of brothers, especially Captain Tazariak and Bishop Nate and General Yohana. It's going to mess up. It's going to fuck you guys up, bro. You want to talk about culture shock? You want to talk about a spiritual building for you? That's going to fuck all of y'all up. Guaranteed. 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 We here at Great Millstone been talking about, because we're the true prophets of the Most High. We the real ones. You got guys that are leaders. Oh, the MOTB is an embargo. It's this, it's that. It centers all of his form. It's not the chip. Them guys in GMS, most I ain't dealing with them. So when that happens, you guys that just got your head stuck up your ass and your hands in your pocket, you don't know what the fuck is going on. You've been in this thing for 20 years and you following some dude teaching you, and you thinking the Most High is dealing with this guy, but you're going to reality, unless you're a complete fucking retard. Unless you're a complete retard and your leaders tell you to take it, you go ahead and take it because my leader said take it. Y'all gonna get fucked up. Trust me. Y'all gonna get shooken up in the head. The strongest word I can use is fucked up. When the chip comes, y'all heads are gonna get fucked up. Okay? It's gonna be in your head like a Jefferson Airplane, which is Jefferson Starship. They sung a song called the lyrics of the song is part of the lyrics is if you go chasing rabbits. If you go chasing rabbits, and then she mentions, what's the main singer now? Apostle Cabal got to get involved. But there was a song. Let me do this. Let me do this. Jefferson Airplane in your head. Okay, white rabbits. White rabbits. And that refers to cocaine. It refers to drugs. It says one, let me read the lyrics, one pill. And this was famous. What year did this actually come out? did this song come out. Because they always played in Vietnam movies. I believe it came out, it happened to come out in the midst of the Vietnam War. It was popular during the Vietnam War. It says one pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small. And the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. And then she goes, remember Alice. And I believe that represents LSD. The Beatles did a song. Was it the Beatles? It was the Beatles, I believe. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds represent LSD. Lucy, L. Sky, S. Diamonds, D. LSD. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds represents LSD, which is supposed to be a drug that was created in a laboratory. And that's when people got all fucked up on drugs, is after when the servicemen, the GIs came back to the Americas, they were all drugged up. Back before that, the people wasn't all on drugs. In the 50's, they showed you that in this movie, Born on the 4th of July, starring what's his name? Tom Cruise, or Cruz Mapotha. That's his real name. His first name is Cruz Mapotha, and he played this guy. I forget the guy's name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Apostle Gabar would know it, and it's based upon a real story. How before he joined the military, and he was like, America, love it or leave it. Then we went to Vietnam. He got all fucked over. Then he came against America. You know, hey, these guys, hey, Donald Trump is not saying anything at all about the veterans. There's veterans. You know the number of homeless veterans out there that that put their life on the line for this country, and they're homeless. They're eating out of garbage cans. Trump ain't saying nothing because they don't care about you, man. What does the scripture say about a man of war that goes into poverty? Let me do this. That's in Ecclesiasticus, if I'm not mistaken. A man of war that goes into poverty, Apocrypha. Okay, there we go. Ecclesiasticus 26. I wasn't sure whether it was 25 or 26. 28. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry. A man of war that suffereth poverty, homelessness among GIs. Homeless GIs in America. Let's get some numbers. Trump haven't mentioned nothing about it. He don't give a damn about the GIs. I don't want that. Let me do this. Homeless GIs. Let me do it this way. Homeless in America. Bear with me for a minute, y'all. Homeless in America. Let me do American. Let me do it this way. GIs. G-I. S. Why doesn't it fucking come up? I believe they took it out. Let me go military men. Military. Okay, it should come up. Should come up. Okay, I should have put veterans. Homelessness among veterans, including those who served as American military GIs, government issue, meaning you was a slave. They got, 7 years out of your ass, which goes back to the scriptures. Is a significant issue with complex contributing factors through progress has been made in recent years to reduce it. Well, wait a minute. Give me some numbers. They're hiding the numbers, man. Scope of problem. Predicting homelessness among U.S. Soldiers. They're not even giving you the fucking facts, bro. How many U.S. military veterans are homeless? Okay, this is more of a direct question. Look, you gotta. Why is it written like this? Veterans who experienced homelessness was 32,000, almost 33,000. A decrease of, they're saying, see, we're bringing it down. You gotta bring it down to zero, bro. They put their lives on the line for this country. Over January 2023, this is the fewest number. See, they're trying to make it. See, we're doing something about Trump having once mentioned these homeless GIs and the homeless Americans, homeless U.S. Americans, man. Anyway, they took me into something else. So let's go to Isaiah. Let's go right to it. Isaiah 28. I'm going to get ready to land this plane. Isaiah 28, verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. What does that mean? Stammering lips means you're not going to talk to the people like a Alexander Scorby. If you don't know who he is, look him up. You're gonna speak. Sometimes you're gonna curse. Sometimes you're gonna tell jokes. You're gonna speak like a regular person. Like you have these Christian speakers that speak all proper. Mosai didn't say that. He said just speak like a regular person. And it even said the word means buffoonish. You might snap on somebody while you're speaking to them. See, that's why you got to go into the Hebrew and the Greek. It said, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. What tongue is it talking about? Or tongues? English, number one, because the focus is here in America. But then if you speak in the mostly English, because Apostle Ramla and Bishop Sakaran, they used to do Spanish videos, and nobody would ever watch them videos. So really, the language is really English. Ain't no Haitians waking up to this. There's a handful of Haitians that wake up to this. You know, the main language, the universal language is English. So in another tongue shall he speak to his people. So now, let's look at this and to show you how they go. IUIC is going off again. I'll let you listen to this and then I'll close.
The Bible speaks.
Because the dude is asking a question about the name in the Hebrew, and he's telling them, nah, it's not about, but all of these guys got Hebrew names. So if it's not about the Hebrew, we don't know the Hebrew. What is that, Zephaniah 3 verse 9? We're going to call it a name. We're going to it speaks about us speaking the true tongue and so forth and so on. But in the meantime, we just got to speak English. Well, why are all your men required to get Hebrew names, and not even real Hebrew names? It's biblical Hebrew names, like Jeremiah. There's no J in the Hebrew. So nobody called Jeremiah Jeremiah. I believe it was Jeremiah. Because at one time, Bishop Nate used to have the men, they used to give them actual Lashawan Kodash Hebrew names. But he changed that. I'll give you an example. The big brother, Abayel, he used to be called, I remember he had a page, and the page was Abba Ya'ala. Then all of a sudden he changed the name of changed the page altogether, YouTube page, to Abayel. So I mean, what's going on? But they're saying we don't have to teach the Hebrew. If his name is Bob, why can't he be Bob? Why can't this guy be Job? I met him. Cool brother. And there's one, let me see. Okay, let me let it play. This is on 149 and 3rd. I know because I had a camp out here years ago.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue.
Remember this guy? He fell off. I haven't seen him, so I assume he fell off. This was the guy who was at the park where he saw the name of Yahweh, and Nate wrote it upside down, the other way around. And he was right there, and he fell off. He's back in the world, as far because I haven't seen him, so I'm assuming that he's back in the world. He's in this. He's in this. The brother in the back that I met, I believe he's still in it.
For with stammering lips and another tongue. No, with the Hebrew tongue. With another tongue. With the Hebrew tongue.
He's breaking it down the wrong way. It says we're going to speak to our people in another tongue. We're not going to speak to our people in Hebrew because they don't know Hebrew.
Another tongue. No, with the Hebrew tongue. Another tongue. That means God saying that with another tongue, we're going to do what?
And this is how they justify the name of the Most High. But they can't have a cool name. They got to change. They got to get a biblical Hebrew name, like Jeremiah with a J.
He speak to this.
This is why we say that this guy did a deal for a Happy Meal. I'm talking about Bishop Nate.
That means these people out here gonna speak different languages. You understand?
Yes.
So me myself, I'm from Haiti.
Yes.
If I learn this, I'm gonna learn it in the French language, brother.
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay, so why when you close your classes you say shalom? Shalom is what's shalom? That's Hebrew. Why don't you just say peace? And you can see by his body language he ain't accepting this.
That brother right here from America, if he learn this, he's gonna learn it in English. Would that make the work of no effect? So what you telling me?
No, all right, let's put it this way. When the Father directed the Israelites to go to the land of Canaan, what did he tell them not to do?
No, you tell me, you do your research.
I'm asking you a question.
No, you don't ask me a question. You already know the answer. You just ask me. Yeah, but I know you know.
They incorporated their language with theirs. And they started worshiping their God. And
what was
that's how everything.
So I know you understand. I know you understand. What was the original language the Israelites speak? So I know you understand.
It was Hebrew, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Hebrew, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we came in out of Egypt, what language we spoke? Coming out of Egypt.
We still spoke Hebrew. We spoke Hebrew. We spoke Hebrew and the Egyptians' tongue because we had to communicate with the taskmasters. So we spoke Hebrew. We were speaking Hebrew, so we spoke Hebrew. The reason why we don't speak, look, when you go into another country, okay, now you got to speak our language and strike Hebrew. No, they spoke Hebrew. They spoke fluent Hebrew, but they understood certain words in Egypt to deal with the taskmasters. So what the hell are you talking about? Any country, when we were taken down by the Babylonians, we still spoke Hebrew, but we had to understand the Babylonian tongue, which is Sirach. Let me see, Moab. When we went under the Moabites, we still spoke Hebrew. The only place we didn't speak, in Rome, did we have to speak, did Yahushua speak in Latin? No, he spoke Hebrew. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, we all speak Hebrew, huh? None of us speak the Egyptian language. Huh?
Well, at that time, yeah, I guess they was.
We spoke Hebrew and Egyptian. We spoke Hebrew and Egyptian.
Speaking Egyptian.
We in America today. What language we speak, brother?
English.
What language we speak here?
English.
Well,
if we went into slavery and they said you guys could be Israelites, but you're going into captivity in America, and today you'd still be speaking Hebrew, be passed down to you, be speaking Hebrew and English. The reason why that happened was that's part of the reason why we lost who we were. They took away. Antiochus Epiphanes did that. He said, "Don't speak Hebrew, don't circumcise your kids, eat pork, become Hellenized." So part of becoming Hellenized is that you had to speak Greek. Did Judas Maccabee speak Greek? No, he spoke Hebrew. The only place where our language was taken away from us by design was when we came over here to America. That's why it says in Romans 9 and Hosea 1, it says, "In the place where it was said, ye are not my people, there shall be said, ye the sons of God." That's America. That's no other place.
I'm from Haiti. If I come here, what I'm going to speak? English. You heard?
See, what these guys do is they it's called indoctrination. And you got to say what the leaders say. Indoctrination, meaning.
Here's the definition of indoctrination: the process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically.
The process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Don't criticize it. If you criticize in the IUIC, they'll bring you to council, and then they could kick you out if you don't get straight and apologize and you know, thank you, sir, may I have another? You bend down, thank you, sir, may I have another? If you know what I mean by that. Like, for example, the hell thing. 2.5, 3 years ago, they were teaching that hell is a condition on earth, and I suppose they're teaching us the grave. Literally means the grave or the pit. But about 2.5 some odd years ago, there was a shift. Oh, hell is an actual place that you burn in forever. So if you go back 3 years, 5 years, and they're teaching that hell is a condition or a pit, and somebody said, no, I looked through, the spirit came to me in a dream and told me that that's an actual place, they'd bring the guy to council, they'd kick him out. So when Nate or the leadership changed it, that hell is a spiritual place that you're going to burn in forever, if somebody says, I don't see it, they'll kick you out. If they change something up, you got to go, because you got to be uncritical. You cannot criticize that's the meaning of indoctrination. Let me do this. They're like robots. I'm sorry, but they are. What does it mean? And like I said, if there's any of the elect, and I believe that there's the elect among them, among all the groups, if they're of the elect, when the microchip, comes into play, they're going to leave their leaders. There's going to be a major shakeup. Watch what's going to happen. We're going to as soon as they make breaking news about you got to get a chip, first place I'm going to go, if I can get to my weapons, if I can get to a computer, inside joke, I'm going right to what Nate got to say, IUIC got to say, and right to what the ISU, and pretty much I'm going to go to Captain Cesarek. He does mostly all the videos. So I'm going to go, what's Captain Cesarek's take now on the microchip? And is that scriptural? If they're saying the whole world got to take it, there's got to be scriptural, right? And so what does it mean to indoctrinate someone? It should say join IUIC. To indoctrinate someone means to teach them to accept a particular set of beliefs, ideas, or opinions without questioning them or considering alternative views. You can't do that, or you get kicked out. Tell me that I'm lying. It often involves repetitive instruction and a lack of exposure to diverse perspectives, aiming to create unquestioning adherence to a specific ideology. The mark of the beast is sin in all of its forms. Hell is a place where you burn forever. The new moon is the full moon. When back in 2015, you said the new moon was a dark moon. What is they're brainwashed? What is the difference between brainwashing and indoctrination? It's pretty much goddamn the same. If indoctrination is the steady process of repeating a belief over and over, what then is brainwashing? Well, indoctrination is a form of, it's the same thing. You see this? That's Nate. He ain't on a horse, he's on a ladder, and he's spraying them. He said, we got to look, brother, the new moon is the full moon. Sabbath is Friday, sundown, and Saturday, sundown. If you guys were scholars, you would say Friday, sundown, and Saturday, sundown is not necessarily the Sabbath. The microchip is sin in all of its forms. And if you buck up against it, they'll get rid of you. They'll say, you out of here, man. You out of here. What are the 7 elements What are the 7 elements of indoctrination? Let me go right to the point. These elements include the use of fear and guilt. They teach about hell. If you leave IUIC, you're gonna burn in hell, even if you go out and teach. Isolation from external influences. Don't listen to them GMS videos. Exploration of conformity and obedience. Just listen to the leadership. Don't question anything. One of them guys said that. I think it was Labaka that said that, Deacon Labaka. The creation of in-group and out-group boundaries, the manipulation of cognitive brain dissonance. You can't, if it seems like you see something, you better ask the Father to forgive you. The sunk cost fallacy, right? The sunken place. If you remember the IUIC, you are in the sunken place. The sunken place. The sunk cost fallacy. I'm going to look that up. The constant repetition of messages with emotional appeals. Get it? Read it. What you doing? Come on, IT. What you doing, IT? What's wrong with IT? The sunk cost fallacy. Let's look that up. The exterminator might be coming in a minute. Let's look up sunk cost fallacy. Meaning. Let's see what that's all about. That's a new word for your mental Rolodex. Sunk cost fallacy, the phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it. That's what these guys do. They had to buy all them purple garments. They had to do this. They had to change their whole lifestyle around. Even I've been doing this for 20 years. I just can't leave them. Even when it is clear that abandonment would be more beneficial. So you're going to think that way. You're going to come out of this. If you're of the elect, you're going to come out of that sunken place. The sunken place. The sunken place meaning. The sunken place is a key. The sunken place. You guys are in the sunken place. The sunken place is a key concept in Jordan Peele's 2017 horror film Get Out. It's a metaphor for the marginalization and silencing of black voices, or real true voices, and experiences in society, particularly within a system controlled by white people. What Nate did, he took you away from the white man and brought you into himself. Now it's the worship of Bishop Nate. It's the word, not Bishop Yawashop, because he's not high on the totem pole. There was a reason why he came on the horse. The original thought was for the three of them to come in on the horse. Then it came down to, I don't know where I heard that from. Then it came down to just Nate. And they had the money to get 3 horses and 6 Edomites. Remember? So that goes into the term superfluous or gimmicks to keep the masses, fat and happy, so to speak. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next shalom.